There is a place at the bottom of the world where the sun can vanish for months, and then refuse to set for months more. A place so cold that the sea itself turns to stone. Almost all of it lies buried under ice. In places, that ice is nearly 3 miles deep. It holds most of the fresh water on the planet. Nothing grows on this land. No tree, no blade of grass. The wind pours off the ice at more than 100 miles an hour, and the cold can fall past 60 below. Out on the water drift mountains of ice, some of them the size of cities. A single flat-topped iceberg can be larger than a small country and take 10 years to melt. At the ocean's edge, walls of ice stand taller than any building and run for hundreds of miles. Now and then, without warning, a piece the size of a town breaks away and thunders into the sea. The continent is always shedding its skin. And in the middle of all this cold, the ground itself burns. The southernmost volcano on Earth holds a lake of molten rock that has never frozen, ringed by snow. This is the coldest, driest, windiest continent on the planet. From the shore inland, it may be the most lifeless place there is. And yet, reach the very edge where the ice meets the sea and everything changes. Because the ocean around Antarctica is not a desert. It is one of the richest bodies of water in the world. Whales gather here in the thousands, penguins in the millions. Seals haul out along the ice in numbers found nowhere else on Earth. And all of it, every last one of them, feeds on a single animal. Something no longer than your finger. Remember it. It is the key to everything that follows. a frozen continent ringed by a sea that overflows with life, and a summer so short that the whole of it must happen in a matter of weeks. Antarctica. It begins with the ice. Each winter, the sea freezes outward from the land, and the continent doubles in size. An area larger than the whole of Europe turns solid. Then, each spring it melts. And as it melts, it feeds a bloom. Under the ice, tiny plants have been waiting all through the dark. Set free into the light and the meltwater, they burst into life and turn the surface of the sea green. And where the plants bloom, the finger-sized animal arrives to graze. Krill. Each one is small enough to sit on a coin, but they gather in swarms that stretch for miles, so dense they can be seen from space. A single swarm can weigh more than every human being alive. By weight, there may be more of them than any other wild animal on the planet. And almost everything in this ocean is here to eat them. The bloom does more than feed. As those tiny plants grow, they pull carbon down out of the sky. The krill graze on them and carry that carbon into the deep, where it stays. This cold ocean breathes in more of our heat and more of our carbon than almost anywhere on Earth. The smallest lives here help hold the whole planet steady. The ice makes the bloom feeds the krill, and the krill feed the world. Lose the ice, and the whole of it comes apart. But that is a story for later. While the sea is still freezing, while the dark is closing in, one animal is doing the opposite of leaving. As every other creature turns for open water, it turns inland and walks towards the hardest winter on Earth. The emperor penguin. It is the largest penguin in the world, and the only animal that breeds here in the depth of winter. As the cold falls past 60 below, each female lays a single egg, and then she leaves. The egg cannot touch the ice for even a moment, or it dies. So the male takes it onto his feet and covers it with a fold of warm skin. And there he holds it for 2 months, through the darkest, cruelest weeks the planet can offer. He does not eat. He cannot. The sea is 100 miles away. He simply stands and waits and keeps the egg warm, while the wind tries to take everything he has. He is not alone. Thousands of males press together, shoulder to shoulder, sharing what little heat they have. Those on the freezing outer edge shuffle slowly inward. In time, every bird takes a turn at the warm center and a turn out in the wind. Overhead, on the clearest nights, the sky itself catches fire. Green and violet light pours across the dark, the southern lights. For the emperor, standing in the cold, it is almost the only light there is. It is one of the great feats of endurance in all of nature. By the time the sun returns, he will have lost nearly half his body weight, but the egg will hatch. And when the female comes back from the sea, heavy with food, she finds him among thousands, by his voice alone. The egg hatches into a ball of grey down, small enough to hide on its father's feet. For weeks it rides there, out of the wind, while both parents take turns walking the long road to the sea and back. Soon the chicks are too big to carry, and too many to guard one by one. So they gather together into a huddle of their own, a nursery of thousands packed against the cold, while the adults come and go with food. When a blizzard rolls in, the chicks simply turn their backs to it and wait. Some will not last the night, but most will, and by the time the ice breaks up beneath them, they will be ready for a sea they have never seen. When the sun finally climbs back over the horizon and the ice begins to break, the coast comes alive. On every rock left bare by the melt, the smaller penguins arrive to nest. Adelies, chinstraps, gentoos, in colonies that can number in the hundreds of thousands. There is no mud here, no grass, nothing to build with, nothing but stones. So, the stones become everything. A penguin builds its nest from pebbles, one at a time. And a good pebble is worth stealing. So while one bird is away, its neighbour will happily rob the nest, stone by stone, and carry the prize home. It looks like petty crime. It is deadly serious. A nest that sits too low will drown in the meltwater, and the eggs with it. Above the colony, others are watching. Predatory birds, skuas. They patrol the edges, waiting for the moment an egg or a chick is left uncovered for a heartbeat too long. The parents drive them off again and again, but the skua only has to be lucky once. And in a colony this size, someone always looks away. This is the bargain of the far south. Safety in numbers, paid for by the few who are taken. Out at sea, the same clumsy birds become something else entirely. The gentoo is the fastest penguin of all, and to breathe without ever stopping, it leaps clean out of the water, again and again, skimming the surface like a thrown stone. For a penguin, all of it, the nest, the stones, the long winter, leads to a single test: the sea. Everything they need is in the water, and so is the thing they fear most. The young birds gather at the ice edge in a crowd, and none of them wants to be first. Because down below in the green water, something is waiting. The leopard seal. It is nearly 12 feet long, with a head like a reptile and a mouth that never quite closes. It is the only seal that hunts warm-blooded prey. And it has come to this exact edge, at this exact hour, for one reason. The penguins hesitate. They lean over the edge. One steps back. Another is pushed forward. And then, all at once, they go. In the water, the penguin is transformed. Clumsy on the ice, here it flies. It twists, it rolls, it uses every trick it has. Sometimes it is not enough. The leopard seal takes what it needs, and the rest reach open water. It is not cruelty. It is winter, stored as hunger. Even here, the hunter often fails, and the swift live to dive another day. The leopard seal is not alone on the ice. Antarctica belongs, more than anywhere, to the seals. There are more of them here than almost anywhere on Earth, and most owe their lives to that same finger-sized animal in the water below. The crab-eater seal, despite its name, eats almost no crabs at all. It eats krill. Its teeth have turned to fine, interlocking combs, built to strain the little animals from the sea by the ton. It may be the most numerous large hunter on the planet. Beneath the solid ice, another has found a stranger way to live. The Weddell seal breeds farther south than any other mammal on Earth. It survives the winter under the ice, in the black water, gnawing breathing holes in the frozen ceiling to reach the air above. And on the beaches at the edge of it all comes the giant. The southern elephant seal, the largest of all the seals. A big male can weigh more than 4 tons, as much as a small truck. When two of them want the same stretch of beach and the same females, they rear up chest to chest and fight. They tear at each other until the sand runs red. The winner may father 100 pups. The loser leaves with nothing. There is another seal here with a darker past. The Antarctic fur seal was once hunted for its thick coat, killed by the millions, until barely a few thousand were left in all the world. But when the killing stopped, it came back. From almost nothing, it has returned to the millions. On some beaches now, the sand disappears entirely beneath them. Proof, written in fur, that this ocean can refill, if only we let it. But the greatest gathering of all is drawn here from the far side of the world. Every summer, the whales come. They travel thousands of miles from the warm tropics down to the ice, following the same thing as everyone else: the krill. The humpback whale. It has crossed an entire ocean to be here, and it will eat almost nothing else all year. In a single southern summer, one humpback can swallow well over a ton of krill in a day, laying down the fat it will live on for months. And to catch them, some humpbacks have learned to work together. A group dives beneath a swarm. Then one of them blows a ring of bubbles, spiraling upward, drawing tighter and tighter. The bubbles rise like a net, and the krill will not cross them. Trapped packed into a shrinking column, the krill have nowhere left to go. And from below, mouths open wide, the whales rise straight up through the middle of them. It is called bubble net feeding. It is learned and taught and passed from one whale to the next, a tradition invented in the cold. And somewhere out in the deep water moves the greatest krill eater of them all, the blue whale. It is the largest animal that has ever lived, larger than any dinosaur. Its heart alone is the size of a small car, and its arteries are wide enough for a child to crawl through. And this giant, the biggest creature in the history of the world, lives on one of the smallest. It eats nothing but krill, millions of them, every single day. And the whales give something back to the sea that feeds them. Where they surface to breathe, they also fertilize. Their waste seeds the cold water with iron, feeding the very plants that feed the krill. The more whales there are, the more the ocean blooms, and the more krill there is for everyone. By simply living here, the giants help grow the world they depend on. So when we killed the whales, we did not only lose the whales, we thinned the sea itself. Where there is this much life, there is a hunter that answers to no one. The killer whale, the orca. It is the top predator of the Southern Ocean, and here it hunts in ways seen almost nowhere else. A seal rests on a floating slab of ice just out of reach. The orcas can see it, and they have a plan. They line up side by side and charge together. At the last moment they dive, and the wall of water they push rolls up and over the ice. The wave washes across the slab, and the seal begins to slide. Once, twice. The pod reads the ice and comes again, adjusting each time. It is teamwork of a kind we are only beginning to understand. The hunt is planned, shared, and taught to the young. In the cold water at the bottom of the world, intelligence has found a foothold. Beyond the ice, out over the open ocean, the wind never stops. And one bird has made that wind its home. The wandering albatross. It has the longest wings of any bird alive, stretching nearly 11 feet from tip to tip. It uses them to do almost nothing at all. It locks them open and lets the wind do the work, gliding for hours without a single beat, crossing thousands of miles of empty sea to find a single meal. The albatross is not alone out here. Petrels and terns wheel over the swell, following the same currents. One of them, the snow petrel, is pure white and nests farther south than almost any bird on Earth, on bare rock deep inside the frozen land. In its long life, a wandering albatross may travel far enough to reach the moon and come back many times over. It circles the whole continent again and again, riding the one thing this place has always had to give: the wind. For all its life, this ocean has known one great enemy, and it was us. A 100 years ago, the whales that gather here were not protected. They were hunted. In the waters of the far south, in the space of a single century, more than 2 million whales were killed. It was the largest removal of wild animals by weight in human history. The blue whale was hit hardest of all. Of the great southern population, more than 99 out of every 100 were killed. From 250,000, only a few hundred were left alive. An animal that had ruled the oceans for millions of years was brought in a few decades to the very edge of nothing. And it was all for oil, to light our lamps and later to feed our factories. The largest creature that ever lived boiled down for a fuel we no longer even needed. The harpoons are silent now, but a new threat has come, quieter and far harder to see. The Antarctic Peninsula is warming faster than almost anywhere on Earth. And the sea ice, the ice that makes everything else possible, is beginning to fail. Remember the finger-sized animal. The krill grow up beneath the winter ice, feeding on the plants that grow on its underside. No ice, no nursery, fewer krill. In parts of this ocean, the krill have already fallen by as much as 80% within a single human lifetime. And when the base of everything begins to thin, it is felt all the way to the top. On the peninsula, some colonies of ice-loving penguins have collapsed. Adelies and chinstraps that once numbered in the tens of thousands are now a shadow of what they were. In some places, they are simply gone. There is one more pressure. Out in these same waters, fleets now fish for the krill itself. They grind it into feed and oil and pills, taking each year the very thing that whales and penguins and seals have always depended on. we nearly emptied this ocean once of its whales. We would be wise not to empty it again of the small thing that feeds them all. And yet this is also a place where we have done something almost unheard of. More than 60 years ago, at the height of a divided and dangerous century, a group of rival nations agreed on something remarkable: that this entire continent, larger than the United States, would belong to no one. No armies, no weapons, no mining. A whole continent set aside for peace and for science alone. It is one of the most successful agreements our kind has ever made. For more than 60 years, Antarctica has remained, on paper and in fact, a place we chose not to ruin. And the protection is still growing. In the Ross Sea, one of the least touched stretches of ocean left on Earth, the nations agreed to something larger still: the biggest marine sanctuary in the world. A place where the fishing stops and the wild is simply left to be wild. And the whales. When the killing finally stopped and the hunt was banned, we waited to see if anything would return. It has. The humpbacks that feed here have come back in force. Their numbers are climbing again, back toward where they began. Where there was silence, there are songs once more. It is slow. It is not certain, but it is proof of something we forget far too easily: that when we stop taking, life comes back. This is the wildest place left on the planet. The last great wilderness, still mostly as it has always been. The ice still freezes each winter and doubles the size of a continent. The krill still swarm beneath it. The whales still cross an ocean to find them. For now, the order holds. If we give this place room and time and leave the ice to do its ancient work, it will go on as it has for millions of years. But the ice is the one thing we cannot simply agree to protect. It answers to the whole world and to what all of us do, far from here. So the question that hangs over the bottom of the world is a simple one. This frozen continent has survived every winter for millions of years. How many more will we leave it? Antarctica is not the end of the world, it is the measure of it. The place that will tell us, before anywhere else, what kind of guardians we chose to be.